Hello, aligned authors. I'm Valerie Isan, and this is episode 217 of the podcast. It is July 12th, July 14th. July 14th as I record this in 2026. Today's main topic is creating a writing wheel using the wheel of life to analyze your writing life. First, I'd like to thank my existing patrons for believing in my work offline and here on the podcast. You can become a patron of the arts and of me by supporting my dreams and my writing life and my aligned author life for $11.11 on patreon.com/Valerie Ihsan, IHSAN. And that would make me super, super happy. I would have a lot of gratitude for your gifts and just feeling, supported by my people. So thank you so much for that. If you want coaching also, then you can back me at $55.55 a month, and you will get 2 live coaching calls every month with that, as well as all of my content that comes out. You're not going to find any less expensive coaching than that, I assure you. So if you've ever wanted to continue receiving support for your writing and having some accountability for your projects, then you can go to patreon.com/Valerie Isan. Okay, you can also support my friend and colleague Eric Mertz on Patreon. That one is patreon.com/Strange Air Stories. And he writes paranormal mystery. Author updates. I have been working on my manuscript structure and spark. I've been in a working station, I guess, with some other writers. So Monday through Thursday, I'm with them working via Zoom, and that's really helped kind of, for my accountability too. So that's exciting, getting back into the writing world there. And also, I found this other book that I had started writing like 3 or 4 years ago that I don't know, it wasn't that I forgot about it, but it just wasn't top of mind at all. So I fished that out. And now I'm wondering, I'm writing nonfiction right now, but I'm kind of got the stirrings of, wanting to write fiction too. And I've got this historical novel that I had started working on a couple years ago, but now I've got this other one too. So now I'm wondering which character is calling me to write them next. So more on that later. I've started looking into specific venues for the Costa Rica retreat, and I'm going to start working on the sales page for the retreat, hopefully today. So if you're interested in updates on the retreat, you can subscribe to the wait list on my website, valerieisan.com/retreat. And that just puts you on a retreat information list. It's not like you're not saying you're coming or anything. It's just a way to get information as it arrives. And if you're a retreat alumni and you've gone on retreats with me before, then look out for an email coming very soon. There is an update on the free micro writing retreat that I'm going to do via Zoom. That's going to be Thursday, August 27th. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So it's going to be 2 hours long. We're going to light a candle, draw an oracle card for some witchy book doula infused happiness there, set an intention for our time together. We'll do a shortish intro where we're going to go around and say our name and our pronouns, a win that we're celebrating right now in our author life, and a struggle that we have in our author life and what we're working on that night. And then we'll do a little guided meditation short, and then we'll write words in silence. And then at the end, we'll, have a little sharing circle for the last 15 minutes or so. And yeah, the link for that is in my last Patreon post. So go on in there. And also, just a reminder that micro writing retreat is available for all patrons, whether you're a follower or a member. Okay, I finished reading Mosswood Apothecary by J.P. Ryan Flesh the ninth, and I finished reading The Reliable Narrator by Grace Salmon. So good. I'm currently reading Creative Act by Rick Rubin. That's about halfway done. I kind of read that like in little short bits, like during breakfast. But I'm also reading Do Less by Kate Northrup. Um, I think I'm probably halfway through that one as well. And for fiction, I haven't opened up a new book, but I think, the top of the stack one is called Comfort Farm by Stella Gibbons, excuse me. And I've watched the movie several times. In fact, I own it and I've watched it recently, but I had never read the novel, so I'm going to read that next, I think. Okay, let's talk about the Wheel of Life. So, maybe you've done this exercise or a version of this exercise before. The Wheel of Life is you draw a circle on a piece of paper and you've dividing it up into like 8 slices. So you've got this little pie, this little wheel spoke. And each section of the wheel is a different category of your life. For instance, maybe it's health, and maybe there's a slice for family and friends, and maybe there's a slice for significant other, or personal growth, or home environment, or career, or money, something like that. So there's usually like 8 slices. And then you rate your life on a scale from 0 to 10 in each of those areas, with the 0 being the center of the wheel and 10 being that outside layer. That outside circle is number 10. So you're making kind of like a dot, in between each of these slices based on how you rate yourself in this area in your life. And then you connect all the dots. And so usually what happens is it's wildly erratic. It's got basically your wheel is now really lumpy and bumpy. And sometimes you've got a 9 in something, and sometimes you've got a 3 in something. And the goal is actually what your level of satisfaction is in those areas. It's not an automatic, like, let's make these all 10. It's more about leveling them out so that you have a smoother ride through your life. So, so let's do that, but geared towards your writing life, through your author life. So let's create a wheel of writing life. So I came up with these categories. So health is still one. It was the first one I wrote down. So are you fit enough to sit down and write at your desk? Or stand, I guess. So, what kind of health issues might you have? Are you dealing with chronic pain? Um, do you just need more movement in your life? So, kind of rate yourself on your health as it applies to, being able to do this writing job that we want, that we love, that we're called to. The next slice in the pie in the wheel is family and friends, including found family or like tribal community. Being introverted writers, sometimes that is hard for us to make friends or feel like we, belong somewhere, because maybe we feel sort of other or outsider somehow. So your found family, your tribe, your family at home and your house or your roommates, like, are they supportive of this work that you're wanting to do? So the third one I wrote down was admin and promotion. So because you're running a business. If you're trying to write and sell books, that's a business. So what are you doing to promote that business, to advertise that business? How are you working in the business? So including like, are there contests and awards you want to apply for? Are there book events that you're trying to get into or attend? Are you pitching yourself to podcasts? Are you updating your website? Are you answering your emails? Do you have email funnels? Like those sorts of things. Where do you fit in this range, 0 to 10, in that area of your author business? Number 4 is money flow. So this doesn't necessarily come from your book sales or your royalties. This has to do with all of the income streams that you have available to you. Are your basic needs being met? Um, so it could be, from a day job or from your significant other's contributions, or, a little bit of like workshop sales or back of room book sales, or it could be anything, but the combination of all of it, are your basic needs being met? And that's what I mean by money flow. And then number 5 is author career. So not just the money part of it, but your career as a whole. Um, how many books do you have published? What's your platform like? Do you have kind of an audience? Do you feel like you have a community of people that already are waiting for your books or that are engaged with you? Do you have a mailing list of people that you're talking to? And really, like, this is where you can think about what your own personal definition of success is. So, in terms of your author career, what would you say would make your author career a successful one? And rate yourself 0 to 10 on that. And then number 6 is production. So that's slightly different. That includes your writing schedule, your publishing schedule, what your goals are. So it's less about what you deem as successful, but it's like the nuts and bolts of, you know, what you're producing, what your body of work is. And then the next one, number 7, is environment. So, what kind of writing environment do you need? Do you have it? Do you have a space that you write that's quiet? Do you not need quiet? Do you need to go to a coffee shop and have a little bit of, stimulation and kind of ambient noise so that you can dive into what you're working on? So yeah, what kind of environment do you need, and do you have it? So 0 to 10 on that. And then the last one I have written down is the industry, resources, and development. So are you going to conferences? Are you taking classes? Are you up on, the latest publication standards? Are you going on retreats? Those sorts of things. So those are the 8 in the writing wheel that I've come up with. So again, it's health, family and friends, or found family or tribe, admin and promotion, like what are you doing behind the scenes, money flow, are your basic needs being met through many different channels, author career, which includes your idea of success and how you know your author career is going well. Production, like what's your writing schedule, your publishing schedule, what are your goals for production? The environment and the resources development, for the industry itself. So those are the 8 pieces of pie, in this wheel of life. So rate yourself 0 to 10 in all of those areas. Put a dot in each of the I get wheel spokes. I don't know, like the pieces of pie. I'm mixing metaphors here, mixing images. And then connect those dots so you can see kind of lopsidedness you're dealing with here. So again, the goal is not to make these all 10. Maybe over time they will get there, but the idea is to be aware of where you are in the grand scheme of your writing life and what your satisfaction is in each of those areas. So when you look at um, health, say, I personally need a lot better um, effort and awareness in this particular area. So I'm healthy, I'm not sick or anything. I don't have chronic pain, so to speak. So I could rate that, a pretty high number, but I'm really not haven't found my groove on the movement yet. Today I'm going to go dancing. I tried it yesterday. I had lifted some weights and I did, some rowing. But, to be honest, like there could be days that go by without me doing much walking or anything. So I desperately want to add more movement into my life. So I actually personally would mark myself probably like a 3 or 4, really, because I'm not satisfied in this area of my writing life. So, what is your satisfaction in the area? What number do you want this to be at? So, if the goal isn't necessarily to be at a 10 and I rate myself as a 3 in this area, I would like to see myself at a 7. So, what needs to happen for me to go from 3 to 7 in the area of health in my writing life? And, maybe that's going to take some brainstorming or asking somebody else to help brainstorm with you. Or maybe you know exactly what you need to do and you just need the accountability of doing it with someone else or having someone else hold you accountable for it. So it's going to take a lot of brainstorming, but this is just sort of like the first step. So what are you in all of those areas? What number do you want to be at per section? And what needs to happen for you to get that number where you want it to be? Again, I have no answers for you. This is just a tool that I like to use, and it starts us thinking about, personal development and improvement and how to achieve the goals that we have in our life and how to get to how to align yourself with where you want to go and what your values are. So after you do this section, I guess, after you've rated yourself and you've decided like where you want to be, the next thing I would do is check in with your values. Like if you don't already have your values listed out somewhere, maybe you can do an exercise that I've done before that I've really enjoyed actually. So here's 2 tips then. So the writing wheel of life one, but then also writing down with as much concrete sensory detail as you can muster a future you ideal day or ideal week where you're writing down whatever that place of success is in your writing life, writing down. And actually, I would not necessarily do this just for your writing life, maybe just, life in general. So wherever, whatever you think that looks like to be successful, whatever that looks like to you, write that down. And it could be something that you could achieve in, 6 months or 5 years. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take you to get there. The idea is to write down like what the ideal life is like for you in as much concrete sensory detail as possible and why it's important to you. Like if there's any visuals that are coming up. And then I actually plugged it in. I took those paragraphs that I wrote and I put it into um, an AI, like a chat GPT or something, and ask it to pull out patterns or like values that seemed obvious to the AI because AI is really great at finding those patterns. And sometimes we're just too close, to ourselves to see those patterns and maybe even know what our values are. So writing out like the ideal happy place life for you that's where you're successful and you have all these things that you want and you need and everything's going great. Plug that into the chat GPT, tell it to tell you what your values are, check with it, obviously, make sure that you agree, amend it however you want, and then take that wheel of life that you did and see if the things that you say you want are in alignment with those values. And then kind of do don't do it again, but just again, the whole purpose is to see if you're living an aligned author life. So, knowing where you are at, knowing what your values are, knowing where you want to go with the values in mind, that's what's going to help you live an aligned author life. So I hope that's useful. I hope that that gives you a little bit of inspiration and maybe a couple of, ways forward, next steps that you can take. It would be a pleasure to read any email or comments that you leave about this process. If you do it, what you discovered. I would love to hear from you. So feel free to DM me on Instagram at Valerie Isan or wherever you're listening to this podcast, leave a comment and I will read them all and get back to you. That's it for now. Bye.